Hello, CircleCityCon, and welcome back to CircleCityCon Live. This time we have a very special guest here. As you know, one of our silver sponsors is Reveal Risk, and we have Michael Milroy here from Reveal Risk to talk about. It's not about the tools; it's how you use them. Michael has grown his professional acumen through the U.S. Marine Corps, focusing on cybersecurity and signal intelligence. He served as a process improvement engineer, project manager, and Six Sigma black belt for the state of Indiana, and is focused on service delivery and third-party risk management at Reveal Risk. He completed the software development and cybersecurity boot camps through 1150 Academy, and now teaches their cybersecurity students offensive and defensive practices through hands-on training and evening classes. We hope you'll welcome Michael Milroy.
Thanks, appreciate it. So yeah, today I just kind of wanted to talk about process improvement. For me, I grew up in tech, and then I kind of veered away once I got out of the Marine Corps and landed in project management, got really big into business process improvement. And then I was also able to kind of bring my cyber skills back up to date. And then I found myself in a really interesting crossroads of trying to get back into tech and cybersecurity specific. But I had these process improvement skills, and to me, it's all about how can you be more effective, but also more efficient. So I fortunately was able to find Reveal Risk, and one of the things they were looking for was someone who was tech savvy, but also able to speak business. So talk business to business and IT to IT, and then kind of help bridge those two departments there. So been able to do that here throughout the BMV, throughout Reveal Risk, and now I'm just kind of gonna throw this out, have a little bit of a discussion here today with this, because I feel like intentional process improvement is something that is kind of lacking in tech in general, cyber security specifically. And there's so many tools out there that it kind of just seems like, oh, we have a problem, there's probably a tool for it, let's throw this tool at it and then move on to the next problem. So I kind of just want to go over some of the things that are out there, current practices, get into process improvement, and then kind of tie it all back together with what should this mean for the industry? What are some things we can do to focus process improvement within cyber and stuff like that? So let's see. So here we go, process improvement and cybersecurity. Again, my name is Michael Milroy, and I'm currently a consultant and service delivery lead at Reveal Risk. So some of the things we're going to go over, we have the, just high level cybersecurity stack. A lot of people are familiar with it, but kind of what is it? What's the importance? What are some of the tools? High level overview, and lead into the current top tools, high level overview of process improvement and some of the common methodologies, and then dive a little bit deeper into the importance of process improvement, but then also kind of step down a little more detailed and look at what are some of the general tools and techniques, but without saying, oh, I'm doing this particular methodology, because anyone can use process improvement without having to commit or swear to a specific methodology. This is no like flavor of the month or anything like that. This really is about what are some tactical, tangible tools we can use to get real results, kind of no games. So, and then we'll kind of end here with what does this really mean for the industry? So cybersecurity stack. This, as most of you know, this really is just really any tool that kind of feeds in and helps a company with their security policy and their cybersecurity. Just some of the general components here, we have MDR, your managed detect and response, vulnerability risk management, a SIM tool, antivirus, incident response, digital forensics, identity access management. The stack is just how you bring all of these components together and ensure that they're working effectively and interacting properly together so that you can provide the best coverage for your organization as possible. So a typical approach, these are just kind of if-then statements, right? So if we're recently breached, oh, well, clearly you need digital forensics because you've been breached. We need someone to go through, actually analyze all those logs and look through everything to figure it out. Oh, you need endpoint protection? Okay, well, MDR does that. But wait, there's this new thing called XDR, which is like MDR, but on steroids. So let's throw an MDR tool at it. You don't have a security operations program? Well, why don't you consult that out to a third-party risk management firm and they'll do it. They'll help you out there too. Do you need a cyber-focused leader? Well, there's virtual CISOs, so you don't have to go and hire a CISO on your own. You could just bring one in temporarily. Again, help with that security operations program. Do you want to practice incident response? Well, there's this thing out there called wargaming, yet another tool. So it's kind of just I just want to focus on, hey, this is what I think my problem is. And then our typical approach is, okay, well, here's a tool for it. But I really want everybody to think a little bit deeper than that here. So some of those tools that we kind of just talked about, for this one, all I did, I just went out to Gartner and just looked specifically at their MDR service market. And I just pulled a couple off the top 40 list. So this is no specific order or branding or promoting or anything here, but FireEye, I think most people are familiar with that. We got Blue Voyant, Rapid7, Arctic Wolf, Sentinel-1, Elementrix, Critical Start. If you guys are familiar with these tools, a lot of them are MDR, but then they also have other services with them, incident response, log analysis, log aggregation, SIM tools, things like that. So just a couple of the tools that are out there. But I want to spend more time focusing more deep than just the tools itself. So with process improvement, we really want to hit on what is it and why should anybody care? And I probably get a little too excited about process improvement and kind of may push pretty hard on this. I know, especially with like some of our clients and then my time at the Indiana BMB, because there's always a better way to do it. And if we don't know what we're fixing, then how can we fix it properly? Metrics are also another big thing here. If you don't you can't improve what you don't measure. So all of these are kind of just looking past the surface here. So with process improvement, we want to kind of focus on closed-ended questions. I know this first one's not a question, but kind of start here with, have you guys ever heard, hey, stop treating the symptoms of the problem and identify and treat the actual problem? I have a cough. The doctor could give me cough drops, that subdues the cough, but the underlying problem could still be there. Same kind of thing here. So a couple of tools, and we'll dive more deeply into a few of these here, but what's the problem? Like, what is your real problem statement? And this should be carefully crafted in a way that you can look at it and you can see like a distinct breakdown of, here's my actual problem. So not just, man, we have weak security. Okay, well, that's not really a problem. That's more of a statement. Can't really fix that until you know what specifically is weak about your security, right? So one of the things we can do here, it's called a 5 why analysis. Just keep asking why. What's the problem? Well, we have weak security. Okay, well, why do you think you have weak security? Well, we only have antivirus. We don't have any other tools. Okay, well, why do you only have antivirus? Well, we've never had a budget to do anything with that, anything beyond that. Okay, well, why have you never had a budget? Well, no one's ever asked for a budget increase. So as you can see, like, if you just ask the simple question of why, you just kind of keep going, and then eventually you'll get the actual root cause of the problem. Typically speaking, it's 4 or 5 times of asking why, and you'll get either at or very close to the root of the problem. If you get to, well, I don't know, that's just how it is. Or, well, that's because of this other problem, then you kind of hit that bottom of the barrel there. And we either need to take that as the root cause, or if it's another problem, then switch and focus to that one. Another thing here that we see a lot of times is responsibilities. Well, who's responsible for performing that? Log analysis isn't getting done. We have MDR, but there's no threat hunting. We have antivirus, but no one's even patching that. Okay, well, let's ask the simple question of, well, who's responsible for performing that? because if you don't know who's responsible for it, then you can't hold anybody accountable. So another simple tool here, a RACI chart, RACI, responsible, accountable, consult, and inform. This is a very simple tool just used to kind of break down what are all of our tasks, and then who are all the people on the team. And then you just fill that little matrix in there so you can clearly see, hey, this person's responsible for doing the work. This person's head's going to roll if it's not done. I need to seek input from this stakeholder, and this executive over here just needs to be informed of, hey, things are moving well. Hey, we hit a roadblock. Hey, we're done. That also goes into who's held accountable here to ensure it's done, who are the stakeholders. Another big thing that, it used to just be business and IT of, hey, what other systems does this impact? Business makes a change, doesn't consult IT. Boom, our systems are down. The versions no longer interact together, or we lose compatibility. But then you also have IT, ops and security. Security makes a patch, but that patch isn't compatible with the version of a software or an OS version that we have. So now we're down again, right? So now we're eating ourselves from the inside here. So communication. Who else needs to know about this project? This kind of goes with the one before of, hey, security is making this change, but what other systems is it going to impact? Who else should we talk to and say, hey, we're doing this. Can you think of any ways that this would impact someone else? Process improvement. Another big piece here is what's your SLA, your service level agreement. If I'm running an MDR and I have an SLA of responding in 3 minutes to any verified threat, but I'm not meeting that. I'm at 3.5 minutes. I'm at 4 minutes. Well, one, you need to know what your SLA is, and two, you need to know how long it's currently taking you. So metrics are all encompassing here, because that's a big deal. If you're not meeting your SLA, that is a very critical area for immediate process improvement. And then another big thing here is, what does the process look like end to end? Again, I think I'll go into this one here in a bit, but process maps, kind of just squares, triangles. You have, flows, typical flow chart, if anyone's familiar with that. But if you can look at your whole process, then you can actually, see every step, every system that's included. You can even go as far as to get durations and wait time between. And once you start building out these process maps with more and more detail, the waste, the inefficiencies, the ineffectiveness, the gaps, all of these things are just like glaring problems when you actually see it on paper. And then you can work from there to actually figure out, okay, well, let's focus on step 3 first, because step 3 is holding up everything else down the line. So we really need to get that, and then we'll kind of adjust and look again. Methodologies. So again, some common approaches and their focus here. I'm not here to say any one of these is better than the other. I've used and still use all of these. It always depends on the client, or it always depends on the need. But I don't want anybody to get caught up on, well, he said use Six Sigma, or he said lean, or well, don't use any of that. You really just, none of that. Let's just focus on, hey, here's some examples, some terminology that you're going to see. They all have their pros and cons, and they all have their specific use cases. So lean, I think by now, most people are probably familiar with lean, Lean Six Sigma, Six Sigma. Lean focuses on reducing waste. There's 8 kinds of waste. Some say 7, depends on the visual that you look at. But what are some, like, hey, this takes too long to do. Hey, we made 100 when we only needed to make 20 widgets. Kind of finding those areas where you're overproducing, you're underproducing, you're taking too long. That's what lean's about. Let's find those and let's reduce those. Six Sigma is more about variation in a process. If I'm making, let's just say I'm making a cheeseburger, and every cheeseburger needs to be cooked medium rare. It needs to have onion, lettuce, tomato, pickle, ketchup, and mustard. Okay, well, if hamburger 1 or cheeseburger 1 comes out just like it's supposed to be, cheeseburger 2 comes out, it has no tomato. Okay, well, that's variation. Cheeseburger 3 comes out, it has no lettuce or tomato. Cheeseburger 4 comes out, and all of a sudden we have mayonnaise on there. So those are the variations in the process. in the output. So Six Sigma says, hey, let's figure out why there's variation. Is it the same person making all these and they made an error? Because that's training. Do we have 4 people making cheeseburgers and they all 4 came out differently? Okay, well, now we need to, again, train, but make sure everyone's trained to the same standard. So that's kind of Lean. And then Six Sigma. Lean Six Sigma is just an all-encompassing way to take both of those, because a lot of times if you're finding waste and you reduce waste, that's going to impact the amount of variation that you have in your process, and vice versa. Kaizen is really interesting, and this is a really intense one. It is also focused on finding and reducing waste, but at a super high level, there are Kaizen events that can be like a full day. They could even be 3 to 5 day events where a company basically just like shuts down an area. Everybody comes in, they map their process end to end, they look at every aspect of it, and they literally just brainstorm and fix things right there on the spot. So Kaizen's great. It utilizes a lot of other sub methods and sub techniques, but that one's not always for everybody. Process mapping, value streams. These are things that aren't necessarily methodologies, but they're specific things that kind of cross methodologies here. Process mapping, we have this little visual down here of you start at this green circle, you move on, you do a task, you move to the diamond, this is a decision. So do I do path A and go up? Do I do path B and go down? That's all the process map is. This makes it easy to see the process end to end. Value streams, very similar, but you're looking more at what's your business's focus. So if you have like a retail portion, a manufacturing portion, then you're going to map those out specific to each of those focuses. The PDCA cycle, plan, do, check, act. Another simple methodology, but this one's even more simple of, you plan it, you make a plan. You actually test it out, you perform it. Check, let's go back and monitor. Let's make sure that what we did gave us the result we wanted. And then act is improve. Hey, it didn't give us exactly what we wanted. We need to tweak it, and then we'll do it again. Hey, it did give us what we wanted. Okay, now let's roll it out beyond a pilot and let's start full implementation. Poka-yoke and go to the Gemba. These are probably two of my most favorites here. One, they're great to say. Most of the time, people have no idea what you could even be referring to. But these are also like Six Sigma kind of focus items here. Poka-yoke is one of the, it's basically mistake proofing. So how can I build a process that prevents anyone who does it, doesn't matter who they are, how much training they have, they literally can only do it one way. A simple way to do this, let's think of your outlet. A typical plug has the wider prong and then the skinnier prong. Well, you can only put that plug in there one way. It's mistake proof. If you turn it around, it's not going to go in. So there's kind of that. This helps with processing, setup, operations, or measurement errors. You prevent those missing parts, wrong parts, but you can't have those because you only give them what they need. And then let's see, go to the Gemba. This just means go to where the work is done. If you're high level management, go to the Gemba. For you, that means go down to the manufacturing line, go down to the help desk, go down to the SOC, and actually see the work that they're doing. Because if you came from there, you're gonna regain the appreciation that you had when you grew up from there. And even if you don't have experience, you're going to get that knowledge and understanding and be able to empathize with the people that are actually doing the work and better be able to make changes, make improvements, things like that. All right, root cause analysis. So again, let's step back, let's take out all the methodologies, and let's just look at some things that we can do here. Gemba walks talked with this, get reconnected directly with the work. Experienced professors can always forget what it's like to be a student. High-level cybersecurity executives can forget what it's like to work in a SOC or work as an analyst. It helps you know your workers, helps you get eyes on that end-to-end process, gets you out there talking to people. But two important things here is, one, keep an open mind. If you were in the SOC 20 years ago, 10 years ago, I guarantee you it's completely different than it was back then. So even if you were in there 6 months ago, chances are technology's improved to the point where most things are going to be different already. So keeping an open mind when you do these gimbal walks, and then ask questions. Like, you know, you're not there to make judgments. You're not there to make improvements on the spot. You're there to learn about what is the current situation that I'm responsible for, and how can I, like, what can I find that needs to be fixed? A big piece of this is the people doing the work need to have input. Hopefully executives aren't just walking around and say, oh, well, it looks like their problem is they only have 4 people on staff, so we need to just hire 8 more people, and that'll fix it. When in reality, if you just kind of ask the question, well, why are we behind? Well, we're behind because we actually have 2 servers that are down and we can't do the work. So hiring 8 people is just a complete waste. And that's not going to actually increase the ability of the team. The fishbone diagram, Ishikawa diagram, this is a great way to take a problem, break it down into categories, and then start looking for root causes here. So I'll walk through a cyber specific example here in just a second, but a well-developed problem statement is once again critical to this. If you don't know what your actual problem is, what it is that you're measuring, what it is that needs to be investigated, then this is going to be a really difficult exercise. Cultures so we have people, processes, equipment, management, environment, materials. This is just, adapt to fit your situation. This isn't anything mandatory or required here, but culture is one that's commonly used, but you have to be careful with culture because it's easy to blame an issue on culture, but it's not easy to change culture, right? So that's one thing that we definitely need to be aware of. The other thing is, let's indicate actions, right? We can change actions, but we can't change people. I mean, we can fire someone and bring in a new person, but at its core, you can't change a person. So this should be focused on objective things. What are some actual actions that we can observe and that we can change from there? 5 why analysis, I hit on this one earlier, so I'm not going to go deep here again, but our problem, start with the problem. Well, why is that a problem? Well, I ran through a red light. Okay, why? Well, I was late for work. Why were you late for work? I woke up. Just keep going down and eventually get down to, well, I didn't check my alarm clock last night. Okay, well, that's something that we can fix. It's broken. With this, you'll also run into instances where, hey, I have this problem, but there's actually like 2 or 3 reasons why it's a problem. If that's the case, okay, cool. Work each of those as their own sub, and then ask why for each reason. You're also going to find, hey, this problem is, reason 1, 2, and 3. I have another problem that's actually also reasons 1 and 3 and reason 4. This is just a way to map this out. This is great to do with sticky notes on a wall, getting your whole team in there. But you'll start being able to see connections between problems, between causes, and then that also, helps kind of bring out solutions too when you get there. So a specific example for cyber here. So my company is hit by ransomware. Okay, crap. Ransomware is obviously no good. Ransomware is all over the news right now. I know there's several other consulting firms that have been approached on this by the news, by magazines, articles, whatever it is. It's out there. It's becoming more and more publicly aware. It's been out there for a long time. Let's just say that our company is hit by ransomware, and we're going to take a minute. We're going to look at, well, how did we even get here? Because that's really the big question that we need to start with. So if we just focus on people, equipment, process, and materials, keep it simple. These are the 4 things. Okay, so with regards to equipment, what could be a reason why we're hit with ransomware? Sir, we didn't patch our systems. Okay, well, unpatched systems is an easy way to let attackers in. Ransomware, hey, this hit us so hard because we don't have backups. If we had backups and someone wiped our data, I mean, it sucks, but we can recover from that a lot easier than we can recover from having nothing left. Process. Well, we don't actually have a vulnerability management program. So I mean, we knew we had vulnerabilities, but there's no set schedule. There's no set process for putting those out there and getting those fixed. Another process here, hey, we don't have awareness training. Why is awareness training important? Well, if we go up to people are caught by phishing. People click phishing emails all the time. And cybersecurity awareness training is another thing that's huge, especially right now. I know that's something that we do. A lot of companies are out there doing it, but there's also a lot of companies that brush this off or just say, hey, well, Microsoft Outlook scans all of our emails, so we don't need to worry about phishing or anything like that. But with that awareness training, you can actually work on that to begin with and actually get people trained and really understanding the tool that's being used instead of just throwing a tool at it. People, insider threat. This also, could have been initiated or completely performed by a current employee, a recently dismissed employee, a contractor of the company, something like that. If we look at materials is also another one that's kind of hard because these things could fall under like the equipment category as well. Let's just say that one particular server was attacked, and the one that was attacked is actually at somebody's house instead of like at the office downtown, or the server room was unlocked and it was easy to get to and breach. So like with ransomware, it would be easy to say, well, if we had endpoint protection on here, if we had an MDR or an XDR or even a SIM tool, checking logs and aggregating logs and looking for patterns and things like that, this ransomware never would have happened. Okay, but if you just put MDR on someone's device, like what is that actually fixing? If it's not put on properly, they can turn it off. They also could have the MDR on their laptop, but they're using their phone on the corporate network, and the phone is what actually got attacked or exploited, and then they moved from there. So MDR, isn't necessarily going to fix that. It should, but there are definitely ways that people could get around that. Let's see, no awareness training. Okay, well, if our people had been trained, if we had a formal cyber program and we sent out test phishing emails and we made them do these trainings once a month, or they sit through, a 2-hour awareness session once a year, if we had that training session in place, then none of this would have happened. Okay, well, people are trained, but your systems are still not patched. That training doesn't fix anything. So the point that I want to get across here is cyber IT in general, there's so many tools. There's a tool for everything. There's literally an app for everything, right? I know we've joked about it for years, but it's true. There's a tool, there's an app for anything, but a tool is only as good as its implementation and as its maintenance. So anybody can throw an MDR and pay another company to manage it for them. Anybody can say, hey, we don't have the resources necessary to properly do proper risk assessments on our vendors, our partners, our whatever it may be. I'm just going to hire somebody else to do that. But if you don't know what the actual problem is, you could just be throwing solutions out there and not actually fixing anything. And then the whole stop treating the symptom and treat the real problem. Awareness is another one of those. Like, yeah, you're training people because people are exploited. Okay, but the actual device itself is not hardened. So even though you're training people, they still have weak devices. You still have a very broad attack surface. And training the people is great, but it's not going to stop anything on the back end. So Process improvement is really important. A lot of times I kind of compare it to agile in my mind. Businesses, pure business, business teams can, they can benefit greatly from an agile mindset. The agile is a software development process, but it's a mindset. It's a culture, and business teams can benefit from that. And I've done executive coaching in agile for IT, but then also for business teams and for executives and business executives specifically. And teaching the mindset is what is most important. Process improvement, typically, I think it's more talked about within the realm of Lean and Six Sigma and Kaizen and continuous improvement. Agile hits on it by breaking it into those smaller sections, but I think it's more talked about mainly as a business tool, and like, well, that's something the business does, and when they fix their process, then the IT will actually be able to work with it. But I mean, that's most certainly not the case. Process improvement is just any process. It can be improved. I just need some love and attention. Getting the whole team in, getting brainstorming sessions going on, and every process can benefit from that. And I think that's something that technology in general is kind of lacking. Technology teams don't have the same intentional aspect of improving processes that a lot of business departments or business teams do. And it drives me absolutely crazy when you go in somewhere and they're like, well, that's an IT process, so I don't need to worry about it. Well, that's a business process. I don't need to worry about it. I don't know. We've always done it this way. Or I've been here 30 years and I've never had any issues. Well, those are all problems that need to be addressed. And those are normally red flags for like deeper problems that exist. So just to kind of wrap this up, what should this mean for what should this mean for the industry? Don't just throw tools at a problem. Antivirus it's a tool, but it's just a tool. It's not going to stop phishing. It's not going to stop someone hacking into an unpatched system. Think long-term solutions. This goes right back to let's actually figure out what is the problem and not just address those little fires that pop up every hour. Think long-term. And yes, we need to address those short problems and those little fires that come up, but we shouldn't just be putting duct tape on everything. You got to put duct tape on it, do it. If you have to quarantine a device, do it, but don't leave it that way. Do it for the need, get everything back up running, basic incident response, and then switch focus and look at what is the real problem, how can we fix it, and go from there. Again, the people doing the work need to be involved in these discussions. If there's just a team of executives that are brainstorming on how to fix why the SIM tool isn't feeding the ticket system, chances are, if they do ever get to a solution, it's either not going to be the most effective or it's going to take way longer to get to it than if we just had analysts in that says, well, these two products actually aren't compatible. Like, that's why. Which is also why going to the Gemba is important. Be curious, be intentional, always ask questions, keep an open mind. By being intentional, not just like, oh, I have 5 minutes, let me go talk to the team and see what's up. Make time, set a team meeting once a week, have a 15-minute check-in every day if you're in those high traffic areas, like a help desk, like a SOC, doing threat analysis, things like that. Set intentional time. If it's on your calendar, you're more likely to do it. That sticky note on your monitor isn't always going to capture your attention. And if it does, it may be too late. Think long-term solutions, think long-term impact. If I just put duct tape on this now, what is that going to mean? What does that mean to other systems? What is that going to mean to our bottom line? What is that going to mean to our partner companies? Things like that. And then everyone should know that there is no perfect tool. I don't care if someone tells you MDR, XDR, BZ, 3DR, whatever it may be. Think something ridiculous here. There's no perfect tool. There's no perfect team. There's no perfect software. Everything is as good as one, how it's built, but two, how it's utilized and implemented. So hopefully, we can kind of spread the word here on process improvement. It's a concept, it's a mindset, it's a cultural aspect. It starts from the top down, but it needs to be maintained from the bottom up. So, hey, everybody, this is process improvement. This is what we need to do. I want you to go do it. And then from the bottom up there, like, hey, my desk is out of order. I can't ever find anything. Well, how could I improve that? Okay, well, I could get a file folder. I could get a paper stacker. I could get cabinets. That's a simple process. You can improve every process that there is, whether it's IT or business. So that's everything that I have. I guess if there are any questions, I will open up for questions or just general discussions and comments here.
Hey, it's been great actually. So basically, we had a great question that just popped right into the onto the chat, and I just want to go ahead and read it out. It says, "What is a strategy to convince stakeholders that investing in cybersecurity is more than a cost center on the balance sheet?"
Oh man, one of those. How do we justify spending money?
Right. It's kind of what it comes down to for a lot of stakeholders, isn't it? It's like, okay, how much is this going to cost us?
Yeah, and I know. So I've been dealing with a client right now over the last several weeks, and this is one of the problems. We went through the fishbone, we went through the 5 why, and what we landed on is business really just views IT as an inhibitor because there's been bad experiences before. So IT is not included up in the very first discussions. So then they kind of get left behind. So business is like, hey, I have this great plan, go do it. And then you're like, well, we need to patch these, we need to get new servers for this, we have to do all this. And they're like, all you do is throw out problems and like spend money. Like you add 50% to the schedule and 50-60% to the budget. And one of those is, it's just getting up front. So a good way that you can do that is, one, there should be a solid champion that's respected by business. If you don't have that, you're never going to be taken seriously. Two, if all you're doing is legitimately bringing problems, increasing the budget and the schedule, then maybe you shouldn't be taken seriously.
I think following that fish tree diagram you were showing actually is a really great way to start doing quantified risk management from the perspective of every single one of those problem areas you were showing of process and equipment and people. I think each one of those were very interesting because you obviously will have various solutions to those problems. And what you could do is you can kind of say, okay, how much is that going to cost us for a year, let's say? Yeah. And you can start going through and putting up all the costs. But then you have the problem in the case of the ransomware attack and say, here's what it actually cost us. And then you maybe extend the problem statement to say, and here's how much revenue stands to be lost over a particular period of time. Like, what business process did that affect? What's the revenue impact that could have happened? And so now you kind of work that then back to start saying, here's all the different solutions we have. And you start seeing where things might be more effective or not, but they may carry disproportionate dollar amounts. Something that costs very little may have a huge impact. Something that's huge and cumbersome may end up actually costing very little or something, right? So there's a lot of things out there that are like that, and you can kind of figure out, okay, we maybe can't get all of this, but what are, out of the 5, what are the 2 things we can start today? And then how are we doing that to kind of reduce and solve this problem? I think that's a great way to do it. And I'm just piggybacking off that fish because I've never seen that fish tree diagram like that, or a fishbone diagram, but I thought that was really cool for gap finding and then kind of going into the risk management part.
Yeah, and one of the big things, so fishbone is normally one of those early things that you do. It kind of gets you, okay, let's try to just put things into categories and go from there. The one I had 2, 4, 6, I had seven things on there. Let's say we only have an hour to discuss.
Right.
Okay, we have 7 things, we have 7 people, everybody, you get 1 vote, pick what you want to talk about. The top one, that's what we're going to focus on. Let's do 5 whys on that and go from there. But the other thing that you hit on is like, hey, what's the revenue that could be lost? Mm-hmm. That's something that healthcare and insurance companies right now are really struggling with, because say they get hit with ransomware and their bounty is $55,000. Hey, pay us 55 grand and you can have your data back. Okay, well, I mean, we should do that. That's 50K, right? Or it's a large company, 50 grand, whatever. We'll just like, it's fine. We'll just start over.
Right.
Okay, well, you just lost 24 hours of data. If you're healthcare, I mean, that's now you have lawsuits and you have confidentiality breaches and all that stuff. And yeah, like if IT is the one saying, hey, this is what we're looking at, this is our problem, here's what we lost, you have to have business come in and say, yeah, but over the next 6 months, we're still going to be paying for this. So that 50K just went to $2 million.
Exactly.
And that's why business and IT have got to work together. And then, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say another piece that I really loved. I'd never heard of was it Gemba or Gamba?
Yeah, go to the Gemba.
I never had heard of that, but one thing that I've really liked, and the pandemic has actually really impacted the ability to like go to, the hospital floor if you're in medical, if you're in manufacturing, go to the manufacturing floor even, or even a simple thing as you want to know why accounting keeps on clicking those phishing or those attachments. Go see what legit business looks like.
Yeah.
Go sit down with them and have them show you what invoices actually look like and say, yeah, those hackers are doing those, or criminals rather, because we're all hackers here. But those criminals, man, they're really good at making it look like the work that they're supposed to do. And of course they're going to click it because that's their business process.
Yeah.
Right. And so, getting down to that line level of how do you, it's really comes down to taking arrows from the quivers of user experience engineers and kind of figure out, hey, what does this process look like to the person who uses this every day? MFA is another thing that comes to mind. How is that process affecting your people and how do you make it better? Because you need to do MFA. You really do. But there's a lot of ways you could do it.
Yeah. And if I actually just ran into this yesterday with one of the guys on my team. Hey, log into here. Okay, well, you have to do MFA. Okay, I'll do MFA. Is it just text me? Well, no, you actually have to download this app. Okay, well, where's this app? Okay, well, go here and okay, I downloaded it. Now I scan the code. Okay, well, now it kicks me back out and I have to sign in again and then use the code again. Like it just took me 8 minutes to log in to an app for a 30-second discussion.
Yes.
Those are things that, management doesn't see, IT sees, but doesn't care. And the user's like, screw it. I'm just going to do this, get you your thing, get what you need, and I'll do the rest later.
And then at some point, the board is asking you, the CISO or security director, so we need to get rid of MFA because all our people hate it. And and you're not at the point where you can go, oh, well, we can make this better. They're like, no, we've been doing this for
we're paying for it and no one's using it. Another
paying for it and people aren't using it, or, it's actually costing us longer. Like you said, it took me 8 minutes to get into a 30-second thing. It's causing process issues and it's causing more expense. So no, I really like that. Another question is what tools? So we we talk about tools and this is about process, but so keeping track of all these process discussions, what tools exist out there? What are tools that are helpful in kind of bringing all these process discussions together? So almost like project management in a way, you can kind of work and have conversations with people on these processes. What are tools that exist to kind of bring those process discussions together and kind of track your progress to solving or mitigating process issues?
Yeah, so I mean, this is definitely not a sponsor or a pitch or anything like that, but one tool that I do like, it's called Miro. It started out as, I think it used to be called like real-time whiteboard or something like that, but it's an online whiteboard that started out, hey, you can put sticky notes on here. Okay, well now, they've expanded, they've grown. They have all sorts of templates. So they have a fishbone diagram template. They have a 5 why template. They have a roadmap template, a RACI chart. They have all of these different matrices and templates that you can do that is everything I talked about, regardless of Lean, Six Sigma, PDCA, Kaizen, Agile, whatever. Like it is literally just a universal tool that brings all these tools together and you can literally do it all on one board and you can zoom all the way out so that you can have every tool in here and just zoom in as you need. So that's huge. But then also, if you can have a tool that other people can sign in and you can interact with together. Miro, if you have 50 people in there, all 50 people can, on their own device, real time, be adding stickies and things like that.
How do you spell Miro, by the way?
Yeah, it's right there in the chat.
Oh,
So
there you go. You saw it.
yeah. I finally figured out which chat it was. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. But no, this has been great. I saw that that was a person by the name of Chunky Monkey 313. Love those whys. What were those whys again? What were some of those whys again that you were talking about? I think it was clear at the beginning of your part talking about the different whys of a process, so like why this or why that.
Oh man. So like the 5 whys.
Yeah, the 5 whys.
Yeah, so the 5 whys, that's just another yet simple but really useful technique of typically when we say, hey, I have a problem, that's not our actual problem.
Right.
So that's why you get down to the solid problem statement. But then, oh, I'm hot. Oh, the sun's out. Okay, well, that's not why you're hot, right? The sun's out in the winter and it's freezing. So why are you actually hot? Well, I'm wearing a jacket. Well, why are you wearing a jacket? Well, I was cold inside, but it's kind of just keep asking yourself why, and eventually everyone gets annoyed, and you get to the point where I don't know. That's just what the CEO said.
Sounds like a Socratic method of kind of approaching problem statements, of just kind of getting to the root cause of it. Of well, why this dependency tracking there?
Yes,
really?
Yeah. And I mean, not to get super philosophical, but I mean that's really what it is. If you want to get to the root of the problem and you want to figure out, hey, what's the biggest bang for my buck? You have to ask questions. You have to be curious. You have to see it firsthand. You have to get the right people. I'm a psych major, and grew up in cyber, did psychology, did intelligence, back in cyber now. Psychology is in everything, and I focused on behavioral and organizational psych. And I can tell you, getting philosophical, asking questions, and thinking about how people are going to react to things, those cross all industries. So yeah, Socratic method, asking questions, that stuff is normally the simple solutions to our super hard technical problems.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about working at Reveal Risk. What's your favorite thing about working at Reveal Risk?
So the last place I came from, I had a team of 7. Our team was killer, but it was way different atmosphere than the company as a whole. So when I came to Reveal Risk, our company is exactly what my whole team was at my previous place. So I got to kind of keep the atmosphere and the team environment that I had. It's cross-functional. We all get our hands dirty and everything. We're all sitting and working, with our co-founders. Super friendly, engaging, collaborative place. But also, this is my first time in a consulting role, but being able to get hands-on, and I was brought on to increase our services, so different service catalog items. But at the same time, I'm doing third-party risk assessments. I'm doing awareness. I'm doing process improvement for executive teams like I did before. So I get to use all my cyber experience, all my military experience, intelligence, project management, process improvement, and I still get to do it all within the giant box of cybersecurity. So great group of people. We have amazing customers, amazing clients, and a lot of them are also like, hey, here's our problem. How do we fix it? But more importantly, let's get creative. How can we really, what can we do that's new to actually kind of fix this? So we work with a lot of great people.
Yeah, and I asked that question simply because I love, especially at CircleCityCon, we care very much about jobs and getting people placed in great places. And if you haven't checked out Reveal Risk, if you're not in a place to necessarily buy anything, if you're looking to work for someplace, work for places like Reveal Risk. We had another sponsor on the other day, and we talked about them as well. Go check out their website, revealrisk.com, and they have a contact us list. And maybe if they're looking to expand their team, if they're always looking for new talent, new people to help them with their customers, drop a resume to them, because these local places and small shops, you guys are from Indianapolis, Indiana, and it's huge to have people of all experience levels coming in and helping as well. So yeah, definitely send resumes to those folks, and help them out, help them grow their company. But I want to thank you very much, Michael, and I want to thank Reveal Risk, of course, for sponsoring the conference. And we learned a lot, I'm sure. Here, I know I did. I was taking notes because I'm going to use some of this actually probably this week or this quarter for sure.
Glad to hear it.
But we thank everyone for asking questions, and we'll be back at the top of the hour to begin talking about the things in the next segment. And yeah. Stick around and just take a bathroom break or something. But we'll sign off here. We'll see you in a bit.
All right, take care. Thanks.